Welcome to this week's episode of Listen to Your Coaches. I am your coach, Mike Wilkins, here with Coach Will Morrill, and behind the scenes, we have young Max Gerald. As you might be able to see, if you are watching the podcast, as opposed to just listening to the audio portion of the podcast, we have some upgrades. We've got some new mics. Here, as you can see, I have mic number 1, Will.
Got mic number 2.
And guess what? Max, what do you have?
I've got a third mic over here.
Let's go. The Max mic is in business. That's one step closer to not needing to use my phone for a camera soon. That'll be the next thing. And then getting a Max cam.
We'll be stepping it up.
All right, so on this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the UFC fight night that just happened this past Saturday in Saudi Arabia. We're going to touch on the 247 fights in Murraysville, Pennsylvania. And then we're going to see what's up with UFC 312.
Sounds good.
We'll just start spitting some fire.
All right, so Max, can you slide us down actually to the start of the card? So I missed certain fights.
We got to talk about this fight.
With that said, I'm kind of sporadic in what I saw and what I didn't see because I woke up, turned the card on right in the beginning, started watching it.
Worth noting that the prelims had a 9 a.m. Eastern start time, in the main card at 12 p.m. noon Eastern.
Right. So, I woke up, started, watching the card right away. So I caught some of those fights. Then I had to run to the gym, run practice, came back, caught some more fights, and then ran to corner some fights. So, we'll get to that. But anyway, so let's start with the bottom of the card. So I know we joked about this on the pod last week, and even just leading up to it, I was like, all right, dude, these are unranked heavyweights. This is going to suck. But then they start walking out and they start talking about how this dude, Hamdi Abdelwahab, was an Olympic wrestler. And I was like, dude, that's sick.
That is sick.
I was like, maybe this will be good.
It is sick.
So they start fighting, and in the first minute or so, or whenever it was that he started wrestling in the first round, I was like, oh wow, this actually might be a halfway decent fight. I was being a hater for no reason. About a minute and a half in, I was like, no, this is terrible. And it ended up being a pretty awful fight. They both seemed to be allergic to moving their head, allergic to throwing more than one strike at a time. It wasn't a super high quality fight. Also, the Olympic wrestler after the first round
decided he didn't wrestle anymore.
Decided he didn't want to wrestle anymore. And what's interesting is he very clearly won that first round. And then in my mind, pretty clearly lost the next two. And you saw the last 2 rounds, right?
Yeah, so you hit me up. You were like, yo, this dude actually pretty decent, right? It must have been early first round. I was like, oh, yeah. I forgot the fights were on. I threw them on, and I caught the full round, 2 and 3. And everything I saw was Jamal Pogues winning.
Yes.
Everything I saw.
So then they get to the scorecard.
Bro, one judge had it a 30-27 for Jamal Pogues, which you're like, there is no shot he won the first round.
No.
But then the other 2 judges had it 29-28 for Hamdi.
Yeah. And the one judge had it where Pogues won the first round and then lost the next 2. I was like, dude.
Yeah. Which is the exact opposite of what we thought happened.
What were you? I can understand getting 1 round off from a judge. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm off. Maybe they're off. Maybe they, just weighted different techniques in different ways. But dude, to have it the complete opposite, insane.
Just a heads up, if you're playing with that spring on the mic stand, I can hear that.
You guys hear that? Everybody at home hear that? That was beautiful music I just made. It's like a guitar.
We need to get Mike little fidget things that don't make noise.
Speaking of fidget things, when we get to the 247 breakdown, are you going to talk about that sequence? The vibration thing? What was it? With the seats, when I had the seats.
The Tesla thing?
Yeah.
No, I don't think we need to well, maybe we'll get to it.
I would like to discuss that.
Let's get back to this.
All right, so back to this.
ADHD's winning the podcast right now.
Yeah.
So, but really, that's kind of all we had to talk about. It wasn't a good fight, and it was scored horribly.
Well, let's talk about, this guy, Hamdi, being an Olympic wrestler.
Yeah, okay, actually, let's talk about that, and then let's talk about what the UFC should do for Pogues. So, do you want to explain to me a little bit? I was all fired up. I was like, this dude's an Olympic wrestler.
This, by no means, I have no actual knowledge of Hamdi's level of skill. Clearly, it's elite to be an Olympic wrestler, so clearly elite. But, with that being said, he competes for Egypt. All right. Now, why does that matter? Well, to qualify for the Olympics, there's certain continental qualifying. Okay, so the Pan American Games, that's any country in either of the Americas. So top 2 qualify for the Olympics, right? Now, if we look at wrestling, for example, the Pan Ams are rather weak. Okay, you have a powerhouse in the United States, and then occasionally, like, you'll have a Cuban who's good. Occasionally, you'll have a Canadian that's good. What we're actually seeing now, which kind of goes a little bit beyond the topic, is we have Americans wrestling for other countries, which makes them good.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So that's all that needs to be said about that. So Egypt qualifies through the it's the African and Oceanic qualifier. All right. The countries in that continental are notoriously very weak.
Right.
Right. So qualifying out of you can have somebody. There's 16 people in the Olympics per weight. Because of those qualifiers, it's not like that these are the top 16 in the world.
Yeah.
In fact, the European qualifier probably holds like the most, you know, and there's only going to be 2 who qualify out of that, so like you could have like the top 8 in the world all in the European qualifier. That's like, Russia, all the stands.
Dude, I was going to say, you might have the top 8 just in Russia.
Well, yeah, that too. That as well. But you got Russia, all the stands and stuff like that. And, only 2 are going to qualify.
Right.
Yeah.
So clearly.
So what we see happen is sometimes out of that continental, somebody who's not really of the caliber of the rest of the field, because that region is weak, but that region is guaranteed 2 spots. And that's to make these Olympic quotas, because they want they want diversity represented in the Olympics, right? The Olympics aren't about having the best 16 wrestlers there. It's about having a diverse field. Now, with that being said, the best like 4 wrestlers are going to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
Well, that's like interesting, and I'm really glad that you pointed that out to me when we were discussing it earlier.
Now, with that being said, he could be like this is also Greco, and I don't.
That was
I'm
another
deep,
thing.
I'm not deep on Greco, so he could be. You could be like, yeah, he top 5 best Greco in the world. Like that could absolutely be the case, and I wouldn't know, but I venture to think that it's not.
No, that makes sense. Also, I think that Greco. I mean, I've seen arguments the other way for this, but I do think that Greco is the worst form of wrestling for MMA. Relative, obviously it's awesome, but relative to freestyle and obviously folk style being the best. Maybe at heavyweight, actually, some Greco might kind of
that I would say weight class dependent. I would say Greco's. I mean, here goes the thing: if you're that caliber wrestler, you're an amazing athlete.
Yeah. I mean, look at Dan Henderson; he was a Greco guy, and he, obviously.
Yeah, Dan Henderson, Chael Sonnen.
Wait, Chael was a Greco guy?
Yeah,
I thought he was freestyle.
No. And the thing with that is like, but all the Americans, like, they grew up wrestling folk style, which in my opinion
is
the best wrestling art for MMA, because the high value on control after the takedown, and freestyle and Greco, there's not much value on control after the takedown, right? It's about getting the takedowns. So you lack that like post takedown control that you see out of like Habib and stuff like that. Now the difference is that freestyle and Greco are wrestled worldwide.
Right.
Therefore, those are the highest level athletes, whereas folk style is only wrestled up through the collegiate level. So like if the whole world wrestled folk style, then those wrestlers transitioning to MMA would be just lights out.
Yeah. Dude, freestyle's so fun to watch. Like when they hit like those gator rolls and stuff.
Yeah, freestyle's my favorite form to watch.
Carry over to MMA as well.
Yeah.
But anyways, it would have been sick to see him use more of his wrestling. I don't think he looked very good. I thought he lost the fight, but is what it is. Now, if you're the UFC, what do you do for Jamal Pokes? Do you give him the easiest fight that you possibly can as soon as possible?
No, you just carry on.
Yeah.
Just like, keep it pushing. That was a curtain jerker.
Hopefully they gave him a little something.
Hopefully they don't cut him. That's all.
Yeah, actually, you know what? That's the number one thing they should do is not cut him. So, is what it is. All right. On to the next one. So this one was actually kind of a good fight.
The Bogdan.
Yeah, so it's
fight.
Bogdan
this was actually a good fight.
And Lucas Alexander.
I forgot that I was
So I was sure that Lucas Alexander was going to win because he missed weight. And the last time that I suspected someone was going to lose who
Shane
missed weight
Battle.
was Brian Battle.
Or Brian Battle.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Shane Battle used to play basketball for Duke whenever I
tell
was
you.
young.
But so I was like, all right, learn from my mistake. This dude looks enormous. I bet he's going to win. And there were times in the fight where I definitely was like, yeah, that's a good choice. He's doing very, very well. I thought
He was winning until
Yeah.
he wasn't.
Exactly. I thought his grappling looked good. I think some of his striking looked good. Yeah, dude. Overall, just like it was a very fun fight. But I mean, dude, Bogdan Grad, he just like gritty through the whole time. Like at any point that he like was facing adversity, he was never out of it, and just obviously believed he could win. And then came back and caught the finish. So I mean, good for him. I thought that was a fun fight.
I agree. Fun fight.
Yeah, not a whole lot else
Next
to
fight.
say about it.
Yeah, I don't care anymore.
Jasmine,
so this was cool.
Jasdavicius.
She looked good. Like, it was a strong unanimous decision win. I thought she won all 3 rounds pretty handily. Outstruck her, got takedowns.
Yeah.
Thought she looked good. That's a women's flyweight bout, so it's one that definitely to pay extra special attention to. But, that's all I got to say about it. Max, did you catch these fights?
I caught the bits and pieces of them. I was working during like most of these, so I was able to catch like some of them. I actually we'll get to the main event, but I saw like the main event. I like put my phone down to talk to someone, and then I started getting texts from all my friends that were like, "Holy shit, holy shit!"
Yeah.
And I was like, "What happened? I had one of those moments."
Oh, that's a bummer.
So that sucked. But yeah, I was able to see bits and pieces of them. Not this early on though.
Right.
He didn't miss out a whole lot in this fight. I did think it was a good fight for Jasmine, but one, I don't think that Silva looked awesome. If I'm
She
being,
fought for a world title.
that's what I was about to say. Is like the fact that she fought for a world title. I was like, I don't love that skill level. And the only other thing I really have to say about this fight is, man, when Brittany Bickard is healthy again, goes on her tear, gets to the UFC, these girls better watch out.
Yep, it's coming. Here it comes. All right, move us.
Yeah, let's move on to the next one.
Oh,
Oh, brother, dude, was I right about the
you were
the
right.
under?
You were right. The under hit.
Yo, so I forget if I even picked Terrence or the other kid. I think I did pick Terrence, but dude, that kid is so exciting. I mean, every one of his fights is just go out and go super hard. And I think he's at like a roughly 2-to-1 win ratio, which like, dude, for someone who fights like that is still pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I hope that he sticks around in the UFC for, however long he can and stays healthy, and hopefully he makes a ton of money fighting the way he fights. But I love it. I have a ton of fun watching it. I mean, dude, I don't really have anything else to say about it.
No, dude. Yeah. I took the over. You took the under. You got that dub.
All right. I think this was the last fight that I saw.
Shamil, representing Bahrain.
Yeah, so his striking looked, pretty decent.
There's no way that he's Bahrainian.
I don't know.
I guarantee you he's like what happens a lot is like some like good wrestlers from like, for example, Russia. Right now, the number 1 pound for pound freestyle wrestler in the world, Tazudinov. He represents Bahrain. He grew up wrestling in Dagestan and realized he was likely going to not make the Russian team due to the all-time great Abdul Rashid Sajalayev. So he transferred to Bahrain.
It says on Gaziev's Wikipedia that he was born in Dagestan.
There you go.
Yeah, dude. I was like, this dude's not from Bahrain. So he probably, since I got that right, I would venture to guess, does Gadziev have he was a wrestler, I'm assuming? Here goes why I would assume that is because like you don't need to transfer in MMA. Like multiple fighters can be in a weight class out of
Right,
Dagestan,
yeah.
right? But only one wrestler can be in a weight class for Russia. So that's why you get a lot of like the Dagestanis, they
Right.
transfer, like they'll represent Hungary, like Bahrain, things like
Well,
that.
in this fight, he didn't need to wrestle. He knocked him out, dude. I don't know if you saw. Did you
I
see
saw
this
this fight.
Yeah. What was interesting Peterson took his own mouthpiece out. Like,
Yeah, he
before the
laid
fight.
down and took it out.
Yeah, he like got cracked, went down, took the mouthpiece out, and that's when the fight got stopped.
You want to know what's funny about that? Katie asked if that was like a way to like quit. Right? It was like it's like is that like tapping out but for striking? Like take your mouthpiece out? She asked me that. I was like, that's funny. I was like,
that is
maybe.
funny. I don't think that's what it was. I don't think he was like.
Oh yeah.
I think he just knew it was over before it was over. It was just like, yeah, we're done here.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, yeah.
Like, I'm not recovering from this. Yeah, I mean, you got anything you want to say about this fight?
No.
With that said, dude, Gaziev he's like a 14-1 or 2 or something like that. Like, we may see him fight some,
Keep running.
higher level guys soon. This fight I didn't see. I heard it was awesome. I got to go back and watch it.
That's Muhammad.
Oh, wait a minute. No. I'm mixing this up with the Azim or whatever his name is. I heard that fight was sick.
Muhammad
With that said, did not see this one.
Naimov versus Khan Ofli.
Did you see this fight?
No, I didn't see any more fights on the card until the main event.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then let's just skip over this.
What was I doing Saturday?
I don't know, dude.
I don't remember.
Max, you slide us up to the next one.
I think maybe I took Mickey to the.
So this was the fight that I heard was super, super sick.
Mike Davis versus Faraz
Ziam. So I was a little nervous with this one because you guys picked Davis, and after you started explaining like how good Davis was, I was like, man, maybe I messed up. But no, dude, this guy's Ziam. I think we're gonna see some like big things out of him because that last fight that I saw him in against Frivola, he looked fantastic, and I heard this fight was sick. I heard it was like a really fun one.
Did he blow his knee out in this fight, Faraz?
I couldn't tell you, didn't see it.
Hold on, I think Max saw.
There was a
picture.
I'm looking for the picture right now. I'm gonna find it and pull it up. But he had him in like some insane twisted knee bar, horrible position.
He was in like a bear trap, which is like a calf slicer-ish position that controls the leg below the knee, and it would keep Faraz facing away from Davis, and it's a way Davis can start to like climb up to the back, and he turned in, so that's against his knee. Essentially, what would turn your knee inside out.
Dude, it's like, when you're watching, wrestling and they get in the, what do you guys call it? Rubber knee. And I'm just like, bro, you guys are kids. You don't realize how bad your knee's going to explode.
Yeah.
Like that. I know what picture you're talking about now. Yeah, that was pretty wild. But if he did hurt his knee, hopefully he heals up quickly because I would like to see that kid fight again. I'm actually probably going to go back and watch this fight.
I saw this one Sambo match where this dude was in a leg lock and his leg just completely exploded.
You're talking about the one where it turned around?
He turned around and he strangled him unconscious. Look.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's so nuts.
Dude,
and look, that's in round 2.
Look, he commented on it. I'm okay, guys. Laughy face, laughy face.
Yo, this dude's a beast. I like this kid. Yeah, I'm going to predict that we're going to see big things out of Farazian. But, again, that's all I got to say about it, given that I didn't see the fight.
Yeah. All right.
Let's move it on up. All right, didn't see this either. We might as well skip. Honestly, past Pavlovich as well, because I heard that wasn't a good fight. All right,
here we go.
Did you see this one?
Nope.
Okay, let me break it down for you. So, I made the same mistake that I made on the fight where the kid missed weight, where I was like, oh, dude, I've been like talking about how great MVP is forever, and like I've picked him to beat everybody, and like. Obviously Gary beat him and whatever. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to make the same mistake. He's getting older. That karate style doesn't work as well as you get older. Like, dude, the bullet's kind of legit, like we'll see what happens. Bro, MVP ruined his life, dude. He just pulled him into the MVP web and just, crushed him. I think Shara's, can you go to Significant Strikes, Max? Dude, when you see how, like, the difference in it, it was absurd.
It was not that big of a difference. 43 to 38. That's a 5.
No. Forget about the legs and body. Look at the head. Can you read that? It's 8 to 23. Now that's a low volume overall, which makes sense for an MVP fight because so much feinting and moving and stuff. But dude, MVP cracks. So like 23 legit headshots against 8 that were like okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
Dude, I am very upset that I went against MVP. I'm happy he won. It was super fun watching it because I like was rooting for him and wanted him to win. But I messed up. I messed up our rankings with that. So what are you gonna do? With that said, dude, Bullet's first loss. I think.
How did he behave?
Totally fine. Yeah,
Okay.
I know that we collectively didn't really like him that much, but dude, I'm not gonna lie, he's like starting to grow on me a little bit. He's the pirate. Like I just like that character is in the UFC. You know what I mean?
Did you see how he's from Dagestan? Do you see how he tried to train at, or he was thinking about training at Nurmagomedov's school,
Right,
But
didn't
he
wanna
said
cut
they
his
didn't
hair.
allow long hair, so he didn't. So they were like, he got kicked out. But like, I think that's a mistranslation. I think he
Yeah.
just never started because that was a rule.
I think he said he showed up one time and like Khabib wasn't there and they told him like he had to cut his hair or whatever and he's like, all right, forget this. I don't think he like showed up and they're like, you gotta go. Like I don't think it was like that.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that like I saw as well that kind of made me like him. I'm like, this dude is like a unique guy. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like when you see him with his little thing on his head and he's like, he looks like a pirate, man. And again, do I think that he's like a cool dude that like we'd want to have on like the pod and hang out with? Probably not. But like, dude, I'm just happy that characters like that exist in MMA. So that's kind of fun. With that said, dude, here's a couple things that are interesting to me. One, how long can Venom Page keep doing this? And then two, is the level of striking at actually three things. Is the level of striking at welterweight significantly better collectively, than the level of welterweight? Or sorry, welterweight and middleweight. And then the last thing is, do you think that there are more welterweights who can go up and beat middleweights than there are in other weight classes going up? And here's why I believe that to be the case. Or should we go one by one on these?
Let's go one by one.
Okay, so first thing, what's next for MVP? Like, what's he got left in the tank?
A lot. What's next? Fights Jerry at 205.
Dude, that'd be so sick.
That'd be sick. Yeah, that'd be cool. With that being said, I think MVP is a prize fighter at this point.
Yes.
I don't think he has a title run in him.
Yeah, I agree.
So let him fight in fun fights.
I
That's
agree.
what I want to see.
Yep.
So he's out of that picture. Number two is the level of striking at welterweight better than the level of striking at middleweight as a whole? Yes. Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
I just think the level of fighter at welterweight is more complete than the level of fighter at middleweight. With that being said, I do think that the top level middleweights are better than the top level welterweights, but the depth.
Interesting. See, I disagree actually. I think that not only is there more depth, I also think that the top welterweights are better than the top middleweights.
Like skill for skill or just period?
Skill for skill.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
So if you look at
But striking specifically, like I don't think that like
striking
Sean
specifically,
Brady's a better striker than Izzy.
yeah. Okay, so striking specifically, if we look at Izzy is an outlier, right? With that said, if we're looking at skill for skill, I think one of the things that makes Izzy is his physicality. He's so long and he's so fast. I'm not sure that translates stylistically lower as much as I would probably like it to. The other thing I was gonna say, skill for skill. If you think about like who are like the real good strikers in welterweight, Leon Edwards, Ian Gary now, dude, those dudes have solid ground games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think overall that is something I hadn't really thought about until I saw an Instagram post like asking that question essentially, like does welterweight just have such a better level of striking? And it made me think about it. I think that is the case. So yeah, maybe we'll see more of those crossovers, which brings me to my last point. I believe that going welterweight to middleweight is probably the easiest jump to go up and beat guys, right? Because if you go from 125 to 135 or 135 to 145, they're like basically the same dudes. They're just like a little bit bigger. They might crack a little harder. They've all got insane cardio. They've all got insane wrestling. You know what I mean? Like it's basically the same thing. You're just like slightly larger, And so we've seen a lot of like guys going up and down and having good results, bad results, but like it doesn't make as much of a difference, I think. When you go from welterweight to middleweight, we have that big 15-pound gap, right? But I feel like the weight doesn't matter as much as going from 155 to 170, right? So if you go from 155 to 170, it's like that dude who's 170 can hit significantly harder You know what I mean?
I don't know. Because we have a lot of evidence that going from 155 to 170 is definitely feasible. And just off the top of my head, I can think of many more than have gone from 170 to 185.
Oh yeah.
Like who's gone from 170 to 185? Like Kevin Holland, Chimaev, MVP, right? So there's 3 examples, and they all went up and have success there. Can you think of any other examples?
Well, I would actually disagree. I think Kevin Holland has proven pretty solidly that he does not do well at middleweight, which kind of goes against my point.
Fair
but
play.
I think we just don't have enough data points to show us that. But actually, no. Here we go. This does kind of prove my point. Kevin Holland, when he goes up to middleweight, is power the issue, striking wise?
I mean, he knocked out Jacare from his back.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, and he can absorb the power, right? It's not like he's getting knocked out left and right. You know, so I think in terms of striking, like that power change from 170 to 185 isn't so severe that like it's not like a 155er getting hit by a heavyweight where it's like, all right, that's gonna matter. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, this dude's bigger than me, but like I can still absorb that impact. But the welterweights are just so much more skilled, so much faster, and their frame isn't that different. Like, dude, Venom Page, he's got a bigger frame than Shara. You know what I mean?
He does.
And Leon Edwards, he has a essentially a middleweight frame, so I don't know, dude. It's just something I was thinking about, but I do think that jump might be easier than other ones. Like going from 185 to like heavyweight.
I don't know, dude. I just feel like 155 to 170 is the most.
That's the easiest jump, you think?
I just feel like there's not too much difference between those 2 weight classes.
I mean,
right?
There's something
like
said
look
for
at
that
like
too.
all right, you got who are some notable people who have done 155 to 170 and had success, right? You could maybe consider Donald Cerrone, okay? Michael
and downs,
Chiesa,
yeah.
right? Okay,
Yes.
those are like low ends, and then you got the high ends. You got Gilbert Burns and Rafael dos Anjos, who literally went from 155 to 170 and became like title threats.
Yeah. I would argue for some of them, like Burns in particular, I think it was that the cutting weight was diminishing him more than going up benefited him. Do you think there's anything to that?
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to that. But I think the point I feel like the lightweight frame and the welterweight frame, I feel like it's the same. I bet you, I would be curious if we could find the stats on this. Like, let's go height. All right.
Yeah.
I feel like welterweights and lightweights, the average height is probably super close.
You know what, dude? I think
Whereas
you're right.
then I think middleweight, then I think you start to see you're like common.
6'4".
It's common to be over 6 foot.
Yeah.
Whereas I would say at lightweight and welterweight, I'd say the average height's probably 5'9", 5'10".
You might be onto something there.
You know,
I don't know. I didn't put like a ton of thought into it, but I just wanted to pop that out there and see what you thought about that.
I'm
Yes,
just going to
Max.
submit one thing that's been like floating around online a lot recently. There's a stat going around relating to the UFC, the lightweight division.
Yes.
I think it's, if you're counting like outside of the UFC, like recently as well, it's either 5 or 6 of the guys in the top 10 in the lightweight division were featherweights.
Were
when they started
featherweights.
out. So
Wow.
yeah,
Interesting.
but that,
Like
that
who?
stat's been
like,
floating.
Like Dustin Poirier.
Max.
So right now
Max.
you have Oliveira, Poirier,
That's right.
Holloway, Hooker, Moicano,
Oh my gosh.
and then outside of the UFC you have Gamrot and Paddy Pimblett were both featherweights
Gamrot's outside of.
no,
Oh, they
when
were
he-
outside.
yeah,
when
yeah.
they were
Yeah,
outside.
yeah.
So actually,
And I was a featherweight and
I-
then a lightweight, so you can count me in there too.
so
Yeah.
I would be
Especially
willing
when
to
you're
bet.
talking about top 10 in the world, you gotta consider.
Gotta
me.
put Mike Wilkinson there. I would argue that particular jump right there from featherweight to lightweight is what I was talking about, where they were just so diminished making 45 that going up to 55, they're just like, oh, now I'm healthy and I can like fight well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I could be off on that, but I don't know.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and it does make sense. It's the last jump that's only 10 pounds.
Right.
Then you get
exactly.
into the 2 15-pound jumps, and then you get into the 20-pound jump, and then like 205 to heavyweight. Like
They're
sometimes
just
you hear
also
people
bad.
argue about like, oh, there should be a 230 weight class. Like, no, there shouldn't.
Dude, honestly, I'm at the point where I'm like, dude, honestly, anything 200 and up, just make it boxing style. That's heavyweight. Just
Bro,
let those guys do their thing. There's like 10 of them who are good anyways. So like, why?
Here goes my thing. Like, name all the double champs. If you like, can you name all the Max? Can you name all the double champs? Like, I think I can.
I bet I could. How many are there?
I think so,
7?
yeah.
I don't know, but like if we counted them, so if we go, the first one was Randy Couture,
So Randy, then BJ,
Randy Couture, BJ Penn,
then
Conor McGregor, GSP, DC, John Jones, Pereira, and Amanda Nunes. And did Bullet hasn't. She didn't get a 35 yet.
No, Cejudo. So we're at what, 9?
All right, I got 9.
Pretty sure that's it. I'll double check.
All right,
that,
so
I'm pretty sure that's it.
all right, Cejudo was a 25 to 35. He's the only one of those. McGregor was a 45 to 55. He's the only one of those. BJ Penn was a 55 to 70. He's the only one of those. GSP was a 70 to 85. He's the only one of those. Pereira was an 85 to 205. He's the only one of those. Amanda Nunes, 35 to 45. Technically, she's the only one of those, even for men. So that leaves the last 3. They're all 205 to heavyweight.
So it's what, Randy, John, and
DC.
In DC, yeah.
They're all so.
That's the easiest jump for sure.
It's the easiest jump.
Yeah.
205 to heavyweight.
Did you guys count John Jones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did we miss somebody that you can think of? I'm checking right now. But that's crazy. No one has done, like, every weight jump has only been one person. And there has yet to be a male to do it from 135 to 145.
Dude, that's interesting. I wonder in like 50 years if we're going to see more of that data, because that kind of answers our question. Well, no, because there's so many outliers. I don't know. It's all interesting.
It is all interesting, but is that's super interesting to me that 3 people did 205 and heavyweight.
I mean,
but every other weight class jump has only been one person.
I think it's pretty clear that that's the easiest jump to do. You know what I mean? 1, because they suck so bad, and 2, because if you just look at the size of average heavyweight champions, they're generally like 240-ish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And guess what? If you're 240, you can make 205.
Yeah, especially if you're like the tiniest bit soft.
Right? Lean up to 232 and cut the water from there, basically.
Exactly. So, that's not surprising in the slightest that we see that. But I don't know. Maybe we'll get more answers to these questions over time. Yeah. With that said, time is not on our side.
Event.
Let's go main event here. I was very upset by this. I'm a big Izzy fan. Max did not make it any better by getting in the group chat and making me feel terrible. I think that we're, probably starting to see the end of an era. I would love to just see Izzy get like one more big money fight or just retire. Either one I think is good. I think that in round 1, he looked fantastic. He was managing distance. He was switching stances significantly better than he did in the second round. Actually, I have to watch it back. He might not have been. That might have led to the issue. But Imavov, I think, is good as well. But I think Izzy, we're just starting to see Father Time's catching up.
I mean, yeah, I think that's just all there is to it. Izzy, though, like a great heir to the throne of the middleweight GOAT, one step removed from being the middleweight GOAT. So really, really a credentialed career.
Yeah, dude.
And you wonder, like, would he have been the middleweight GOAT if he transferred to MMA sooner?
Right. Yeah. Who knows? And you know what's crazy? It's funny because he's, again, I think widely regarded. I mean, Max, do you have any objections to this, that he's number 2, middleweight GOAT? Yeah. What's funny is he beat the middleweight GOAT, but he
did, but that's
exactly
not how that works.
Right. Exactly.
Right. It's not like, well, he has the head-to-head win over him. It's like, yeah, you're talking about like career credentials. Mm-hmm. And then like someone at the height of their powers and someone on the downswing. Exactly. That'd be like being like, oh, now
Imavov's the number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, it's interesting though. Man, I think also like we're going to see so much more like quality stance switching out of strikers in the future. So something that I talk about a lot with our guys is like, you don't want to switch stances moving forward in a way that like, you have to set it up in certain ways, right? And I saw it, like the language around it on Instagram, like just not really quite getting it. They're like, oh, Izzy was switching stances without hiding it. So you don't have to hide it. You just have to you have to do certain things. So if you're going to switch stances moving forward, you got to have the guy moving back. And there's different ways you can do that. And there's also ways that you can do it that are safer, but like whatever. We're not going to get into like super technical breakdowns. I'll do that in the next couple of years, make an instructional. But what we see a lot of guys do is they'll take their front foot, step backwards, and then their back foot step forward. So they're not actually like opening or closing any distance. And that takes time, because if you think about it, if I just took my front foot and stepped all the way back, that's 1 step. Yeah. Whereas if I do this like big step, little step thing, it's 2 steps, right? And that's what you see Izzy doing a fair amount of. And they're smaller steps. Like, it's not like he was doing crazy versions of it. I used to, Sandhagen does it a lot. and it's not as bad as like what you see like Dominic Cruz or like Jiri do, where they'll take their front foot and step all the way back and then take that same foot and step it all the way forward. So 2 steps covering distance and closing distance and also not actually moving anywhere and just leaving yourself susceptible to a bunch of points. So it was not the worst version of it, but he did do that. That's when he got caught. And then the other thing I'm seeing a lot of people talking about online is like, oh, he went like long guard and then just leaned back and like that's just poor defense. And it's like, yes, if you get hit, but also he doesn't get hit that much. And also like everyone gets hit. Like there's no champions who don't have incredible chins. And we know this because they've all been hit. Like it's just part of the game. You know what I mean? So people are like, oh, his defense doesn't work. It's like, actually it works really well. Covering the hands works fantastically. What doesn't work is covering the hands and then moving straight back with your chin up, which sometimes it does, especially if you're 6'4" like Izzy, you slide out of the way. But, you know, you can get cracked like he did in that, you know, position. What he would have been ideal is cover the hands. You know, that would have got him out of the fact that he switched his stances and, you know, not the best way at that time. And then disengaged like side to side or ducked or, you know, rolled or whatever he did other than just that lean back. But I don't think that those things independently, you know, are a problem. The fact that he leans back, the fact that he covers hands. So I have seen some, and this is also very biased because I'm a big Izzy fan. And so, you know, I see people hating online. And I'm like, yo, fuck these dudes. Yeah. But, you know, I just saw so many like Instagram breakdowns, like Izzy's defense is so poor and blah, blah, blah. He did this, this, and this wrong. And why was he covering the hands? And I'm like, no. Let's put it in context. So, I mean, I'm sad and I'm obviously going to make excuses for Izzy, but Izzy's like one of the most skilled 185ers we've ever seen. So,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, incredible career. What do you think is next for him? What should be next for him?
Just a fun fight. Him versus MVP.
I think they're friends.
Okay.
Actually, real quick, Max, can you pull up the rankings for us? Let's play matchmaker real quick. So I wouldn't be mad if he was just like, look, I'm just gonna hang him up. I'd be like, dude, great, awesome career. I know you probably don't want to go out on like a 3-fight lose streak or whatever, but like it is what it is. But let's just assume he was like, hey, I want to do one more, and you were a matchmaker and you wanted him to win it, but you also wanted it to be exciting. Who are you giving him?
Thank you, Max, for zooming in. Brendan Allen.
Yeah. I don't think Allen could take him down, and I think standing, obviously, we're going to see Izzy do some good work. So, yeah, I totally am on board with that. Actually, last thing about this, dude, do you think we're kind of seeing like the changing of the guard at middleweight? You know, because like there was a time where middleweight was just Whitaker, Izzy, Jared Cannonier, Yoel, Paulo Costa. Who else are we seeing here? Vittori, you know what I mean? Like those dudes were just on top of it. And I don't see any of those guys getting back to a championship now. And we have a complete new crop in the, you know, unfortunately Strickland, hopefully he's on the way out. Chimaev, Imavov, the fighting nerd.
Do you think though that Michael Page will now be ranked at middleweight? And are any fighters ranked in 2 weight classes simultaneously?
Dude, I don't think so. Actually, no, they must, because what about Oliveira? Or not Oliveira,
Max Holloway?
Holloway, yeah.
Scroll up to the is he ranked? There he is. He's 5 at lightweight. Is he still in?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 and 2.
Dude,
okay.
That's sick.
So I bet you Michael Venom Page will be ranked at middleweight and
Interesting.
welterweight.
Wow.
Cool.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, yeah, hopefully they give him Brendan Allen and he gets a nice W and then drops the gloves. That's what I'm hoping.
Great. It could be a great cap to a good career. Or great career. Great cap to a great career. All right. Are we I got nothing to add to the fight night.
Yeah, I got nothing. Like I said, I barely was paying attention to those fights anyways. It was like watch a couple fights, run out of the house, rinse and repeat. Which that's what I was running out of the house for, other than running practice, cornering some of our own fighters.
Yeah. So we were at Brawl in the Berg 26 in Murraysville, Pennsylvania. And we had 3 fighters on an 8-fight card. Let's get into it. So the show opened up with a bang. So I remember I was being told, you know, Hunter was talking to TJ and he was like, I'm thinking about having you guys be the first fight. And originally this card was going to be the inaugural card to 247 Sunny Days Arena at the venue. And I was telling TJ, I was like, oh, that's so cool. You're going to be the first fight. You're going to be in the first fight at that arena. And I think that arena is going to have some staying power. I believe they have like a fairly long lease. Right. So it's going to be like, you know, like a staple I'd imagine. And I was like, and no one can ever be the first but you. Like,
Yeah.
once you do it, like, you're the first.
Yep.
Unfortunately, the card got moved, so he's not the first. Now, someone likely March 15th on that card will be the first. But they're like, we're going to put you first. I know they like putting a fight that they think is going to be exciting 1st, right? To like set the tone for the night. And they asked TJ, hey, are you that guy? And he said he was, and he delivered.
Dude.
And you can't have a banger of a fight without a dance partner. So shout out to Chase D'Angelo as well. But dude, that fight was wild.
Dude, so wild. So wild.
So wild.
Dude, Derek actually just sent me a picture of me in the corner making this face during that fight. Yeah.
Hunter sent me a picture while TJ's getting his hand raised, or like he's like screaming or whatever, and I'm just sitting there and I got like a look like a
Yeah, exactly
like
that
this.
face.
And I'm like wondering, and I'm like, what was I thinking about that I was making that face, you know? But whatever, it's funny. But yeah, TJ looked great. He showed a lot of like well-roundedness.
Yep.
And came out crack 5 seconds in, nut shot.
Dude. Bro, okay, there were so many there were fouls. There were legit fouls and called. There were fouls that were called that weren't fouls, and then there were fouls that weren't called.
Yeah.
That absolutely happened. It was wild.
It was
dude.
so we're gonna get like there's so many funny things that happened in this fight, but TJ looked great. His striking looked great. His teeps looked great. His kicks looked great. His length looked great. He stuffed some takedowns in the first round. He stuffed a takedown, spun around, took the back. They got to a standing, and I was like, "Yo, big slam, big slam!" Picks him up. Big mat return, put him down. I was like, all right, lit him up.
yeah.
Like, lit him up, lits him up, gets right back to cracking. Was landing very versatile barrage of strikes, you know, and Chase D'Angelo was there for it.
Dude, also extra shout out to Chase. He took a knee to the head, you know?
Yeah, but it's incidental because it hit him in the chest and
definitely
slid to the head.
It was not intentional, and I don't even think it was like super flush, but that is a chance for someone who, was he 0-0 as well?
He was 0-1.
Okay, that gives you a chance as, a less experienced fighter to be like, hey man, this isn't going my way. I'm not having a good time. I'm going to get out of here. And like, that's valid. You take a knee to the head, you'd be like, oh, dude, I can't see, you can't go on, whatever. He did not. He kept going. You know what I mean? So again, shout out to him. Overall, super fun fight. There was a nut shot in the last 5 seconds that did not get called. I'm glad they just let that rock out. Which, by the way, the ref came up to me afterwards. I don't know if you heard this. He was like, "Hey, man, listen, just so you know, if there's 3 fouls, intentional or not, it's over." I was like, "Hey, it's good to know, dude. I don't know what you want me to do, but
like the fight's over."
Yeah.
So without even taking a point for the second one.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
I don't know. That's what he told me, though. I think it's, I don't know, maybe it's just for novice. I don't know how it works, but he was just like, look, dude, just so you know.
I've never heard that rule. Maybe they should say that in the rules. That seems like a pretty important one to say in the rules meeting then.
Maybe we should ask Pat.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but still, TJ, great debut.
Actually, Pat, let us know in the comments. We know you're watching, bro.
Dude, Pat's my man.
Pat is the man.
Yeah, but a great debut for TJ.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I got nothing else to say. Showed a lot of great positioning, great everything, and also stuff to work on too. I've seen some things to work on.
Totally.
So that's what you want,
Yeah, but hold on, we're not ready to move on, dude. The best part about his fight, TJ
was when he got hit in the nuts.
No, dude, it was TJ's outfit, bro.
Oh, let's get to that after.
Okay.
But so TJ gets hit in the nuts too, and his brother's in the crowd Trey. And his brother's like, suck it up, that ain't hurt. And I was just, we're not allowed during a foul. The coaches, we're not allowed to coach, so we're just sit there, stay quiet.
Also, the crowd for whatever reason just went full on Japanese style. Just
straight quiet, right? Yeah, and his brother's like, suck it up, that ain't hurt. And I just lost it, dude. It was so funny.
That was so good. I very much enjoyed that.
But yeah, TJ, fur coat, had a full-on stylist.
Dude, looked awesome.
After the fight, was walking around with this sour candy. I was like, you can't have this around me. I ate half of it. He had a tub of it. I was like, another.
Toll.
I was like, yeah, dude. I was like, coach's tags. Get over here.
Dude, that's hilarious. All right, shout out TJ. That was awesome. Ready to move on?
Yeah. All right, you're on this one.
All right, so next up, we had Nick Alvarado taking on Anthony Proctor. So here's the deal. Anthony Proctor, 6'3". He was also 1-0, as Nick was. But he had, like, I don't know, like 12 boxing matches or something like that, right? So he's way more experienced. And, you know, leading up to the fight, like, you know, when Josh and I were discussing whether or not he should take this, like, that was something that was definitely factored in. And I was like, I don't know if I love this. And Josh was like, yo, dude, look, but Nick's that dude. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Nick is that dude.
Yeah.
And I believe in him. So we agreed to the fight. Now, you know, Nick lost, unfortunately. He lost the decision, which, like, the scores are kind of wild because, you know, he got dropped a couple times. So, like, I'm not even sure that's reflective. Well, maybe it is reflective. I don't know. Whatever. But either way, you know, he lost. He definitely did lose and everything. But, like, I don't know how to put it, that it, like, it doesn't matter. That he, like, obviously matters. That sucks. But I put this in the Instagram post I made about the fight. There's different qualities of losses, right? And there's some losses where it's like, oh, you got outclassed, but you didn't get hurt. There's somewhere you get hurt, and that really sucks. There's somewhere, you know, you just get perfected and, like, nothing happens, and there's no data to get from it, and that really sucks. Like, there's all kinds of different types of losses. Dude, this one was such a valuable, awesome loss, right? Because the number one thing that Nick showed me is Nick is about it. You know?
Dude, he was going for it till the last bell.
Dude, and also I don't want to give away certain codes, but, like, he was still listening while, like, rung up and while, you know, in a bad spot and just doing everything that Josh and I were asking him to do. And, like, again, talking about having periods where you could have easy excuses to get out of the fight. And, like, no one would, like, imagine you get dropped for the second time in a round and you don't make the count. Like, no one's going to be like, oh, you should have, you know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, dude, you didn't make it. Like, it is what it is. Like, he could have easily hid that. He could have easily quit, and he didn't, you know? And, like, he's a young guy. I know he's probably not having a great time thinking about that fight and everything, but it's like, dude, when you're my age, I promise you that fight is going to be so important to you. And, like, the fact that you, like, he now knows who he is. Like, I'm sure he always thought he was tough and everything, but now he knows that he's, like, a legit tough guy. And I'm super proud of Nick. He was so confident. He looked sharp leading up to it. Yeah, man. I mean, I got nothing but good things to say about Nick. He's a good kid. He trains hard. He's very skilled. You know, hopefully we can get him someone with a little less experience for his next one, and show off those skills a little bit more. But again, like, he's got nothing to be, like, ashamed about in that loss. And I truly believe that loss in particular was, like, really valuable for him.
Yeah, cool. Puts a bow on it. Puts a bow on it. All right, so we're moving on. We had Val Caruso versus Jordan Oliver.
We hitting all of them?
Yeah, this was a 145-pound advanced amateur bout. I did not get to see this fight because we were in the back with...
Real quick, before we do all of these, just so you know, it's like 355.
All right.
Hit them all?
Yeah.
Run through it.
And, like, I mean, yeah, for sure. There's 8. Okay. Max, did you see this fight?
Yeah, I did. I did get to see this fight.
Max, so Coach Will and I did not. Just give us, like, a 30-second.
You know, Val... You know what Val's style is. He's very pressure heavy. He's looking to come forward and put, like, long combos together. He started off well with that. He got clipped with, like, one right hand in the first round that looked like it might have hurt him a little bit, but he was okay. It was really just Oliver was, like, taking him down and really just putting on.
I did pop out, like, to, like, look to see how much time's left, what round they're in, like, you know, so that way I could go to the back and be like, all right, the second round, because Will Moriarty was the next fight.
Right.
Did Val drop him at one point?
It maybe. It was one of those weird shots where it came, he was a right hand that came and it kind of, like, bounced off the back of Oliver's head, which, you know, that could have dropped him, but it wasn't like it hit his chin and you saw his face go flying back, and it's like, oh, he's definitely hurt. It was more of, like, it kind of slid off the back of his head, which definitely, like, when I got dropped, that was what it was. It hit the back of your head and then just kind of, like, cut your equilibrium, right? It looked like because he got back up and Oliver was a little bit wobbly, so it looked like it might have dropped him.
But then he shot, like, immediately.
Yeah, Oliver. After the first round, Jordan did, like, a real good job of recognizing that the ground was where he was gonna. Did you guys see anything from the first round at all?
No.
Val got taken down in the first round, like, a minute in, and he spent about a minute like hardcore hunting a Gogo Plata off of his back.
I did
he-
see him in guard at one point in time, pulling like his leg towards the rubber guard, and then I was like, check the time, ran back into the locker room.
It was there was a time in the second round where he was like semi trying the rubber
might have
guard
been
thing,
it.
but it was not very clean. The first round he was like actively hunting a Gogo Plata, and he wasn't terribly far off. Like
Dude,
he had
that's
the
so sick.
he had the right idea, and like you've seen Val, he's like 5'6" and bulky, right?
Yeah.
Like he's not the kind of guy you expect to be
Like
hitting
that,
a
right,
Gogo
yeah.
Plata. So that was kind of cool.
That's
Alright,
very
cool.
cool.
But yeah, it was mostly just Oliver out grappling him. He had a lot of good positional stuff and good ground and pound.
All right, right on. All right, so now we move up. We got Will Moriarty versus J.R. Cazales. All right, so J.R. first round submission win. Yeah, what do you have? So do you want to say some
so
stuff?
I
'Cause
think-
got some stuff.
Yeah, so Will, obviously we wanted to like test him against someone who's a good wrestler.
Yeah.
And we got some good data about that because here's the deal: I would put Will's striking against any 155er, amateur 155er, in the area. So I mean, we want to give him that test. Now we have that data to work with.
Yep. Yeah. So, JR just, fought a really good, clean fight. Things that I wish Will would have done, maybe a little bit differently is kind of be a little bit more like aggressive on the feet. Let those strikes go. I think the threat of the takedown really had him on his heels. And I'd like to try to dissuade some of that threat
Right.
with some striking.
100%.
That definitely would make it a little bit more difficult. After the takedown, he stayed active off his back, which was the goal there. That was the game plan. Got himself into a closed guard. And part of the game plan was to keep our chest facing our opponent. He had a look at an arm lock, which I was pretty pumped about. JR was able to, remove that threat basically immediately, but it did separate the chest, which allowed a moment to potentially create some space and maybe start working our way up. But ultimately, Will did show his back to try to get back to the feet. And JR capitalized on it, took the back and sunk in the rear naked choke very efficiently. So that's how that cookie crumbled. Yeah. So good fight by JR. Data for Will. We got to be more active in the spots that we think we have an advantage. And if you think you have an advantage in that spot, you better use it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or else you lose it,
Yeah.
as we see. All right, cool. So now we're moving on. Carly Joe Thomas versus Leilani Hodgins. This fight was sick, dude. This was a good fight. In the first round, it was fairly even. I would say Carly was definitely getting the edge in the striking in the first round, but Leilani did secure a takedown, which I scored that round for Leilani.
I agree.
Due to the takedown, right? I thought that was the separator there, even though I do believe she got outstruck a little bit, but I felt like the takedown was kind of solidification enough to take the round. After that second round, all striking, right? All striking, and I just feel like Carly just carried the pace, dictated where the fight was going to be happening. And this was an open stance fight. And she one upped her on all the exchanges.
Exactly.
Not to say that Leilani didn't have any moments. She had
right, for
some
sure.
moments, but Carly carried 90% of it.
Yeah, and in my mind, I think that's super accurate. I think it was just very clear that Carly was just objectively better. You know? And I think that the same thing basically happened in round 3 as well.
Same thing, except for Carly also secured a takedown in round 3
that's right. Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. So not only do I feel like Carly also carried carried the striking portion of it, but she also, secured a takedown probably about a minute into the round, a little bit before halfway. So, I scored it round 1 to Hodgins and rounds 2 and 3 to Carly. And I believe the judges agreed, except I do know one judge did score all 3 for
30-27.
Carly, which, maybe they valued what was happening in the striking a little more, but I just kind of put a little bit more value on that takedown. But
But either way, clear win for
here goes
Carly.
clear win for Carly. And here's the thing, Leilani and Carly are managed by LCA, the same management company. Brittany is also managed by LCA. Unesi's also managed by LCA. And sometimes like managers would prefer that their clients don't
Right.
fight each other. But I think they saw that this was a position where each fighter could grow from. And Hodgins came in with a 7-0 record.
Yeah.
So that's a very good record. And this is Carly's first fight down at 115. Carly has taken fights up like several weight classes up, So, but I think she looked really good at 115, and I hope she is like, yep, that's where I fight now. And then that's it. So yeah, great fight by Carly.
Yeah, no, that was excellent.
All right, our boy Nico versus Russ Corbel. So Nico Petrades versus Russ Corbel. Nico comes out throwing heat. I thought the fight was going to be over in the first minute.
Dude, 30 seconds in, I was like,
well,
yo.
this is over. Cracking. Nico's just cracking him. And then Russ Corbel just got stubborn on the takedown. Relentless driving through his takedowns, driving him into the cage. When he's on the cage, he kept the feet going. He kept the feet going and was able to just kind of like blanket over Nico. Nico did have some moments later in the third round, but ultimately,
wasn't quite enough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he lost the decision, but shout out to our boy Nico.
Yeah, he'll be back on it. Gino Morelli versus Derek. I don't know how you would say Ogday or
Something like
whatever. So Gino comes in 3-0. Derek coming in at 7-11, an 18 fight vet. And dude, I was impressed with him,
bro.
He had his moments. He had a takedown. He was involved in the striking exchanges. He defended a takedown. Yeah, like he was like there for the fight, and like you know what I mean. He didn't get ran over, which was great.
I was shocked at how good he looked.
Yeah, I was impressed with him. But ultimately, in the second round, Gino Morelli, I'm not exactly sure what strike it was, but dropped him enough for a knockout. And now Gino moves to 4-0, right? Justin Patton versus Elijah Harris. In this, in my opinion, Justin Patton just a level above.
Yes.
Just, like no slight to Elijah Harris,
of
but
course
just
not.
I just felt like Patton was just like a step ahead, a step or two ahead, a level above, and he ended up securing a rear naked choke victory in the second round.
Dude, here's the thing. Patton's a step ahead of all of the, featherweights who aren't in the UFC, Patton's that dude.
He is. So, great fight. It's cool to see Justin and Carly both win on the same night. Like them fighting on the same night to me is like so impressive.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be able to
Right.
the way that they handle their emotions for that is very impressive. So hats off to them. And that puts a bow on Brawl in the Berg 26.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Congratulations to all fighters who participated.
Let's take a quick look at UFC 312, maybe make some picks. I don't think it's going to take too long because I don't think this card is great.
All right. Early prelims.
Let's go bottom up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't care. Don't care. Don't care. Oh, care.
Cody
care.
Steele.
I care. All right. So right now, what's the main event of the early Fight Pass prelims? We've got Cody Steele versus a man who has only one name, Arongzu. Cody Steele, for those of you who don't know, is a highly regarded jiu-jitsu competitor. I think some of his notable accomplishments are a bronze medal at the ADCC East Coast Trials in 2021. A lot of people know him from other ADCC Trials events, suplexing dudes off of the mat on the concrete, winning matches 40 feet away from the mat surface, stuff like that. He had a really transition to MMA, took to it really, really great. Won on the Dana White Contender Series. So this is his debut, his UFC debut. What is he, Max? Is he 8-0? 7-0. So he's 7-0. Notably, his first Dana White, he had two Dana White Contender Series fights. The first one ended up not happening. His opponent decided not to come out. Their hands were wrapped, ready to rock, and his opponent was like, I'm out of here. And the craziest thing about that opponent, that dude has a win over Alex Pereira.
Wait, what?
You know this. The dude who was like, I can't do it. I'm not coming out.
Now it's all coming back to me. I remember we talked about
He has a decision victory over
crazy.
Alex Pereira. That's Alex Pereira's
right.
MMA debut. Yeah. So has a win over a 2-division champ, right? and won't come out for a fight against Cody Steele.
Against a lightweight, dude. That's so nuts.
Cody Steele ends up getting on the Contender Series though, like 3 weeks later, has a really great performance, gets signed to the UFC.
Wow. Unreal.
So I'll be watching that fight.
For sure. For sure.
Then we got Taporia's big brother, older but smaller brother.
Okay, this is interesting. Do you know who's in the corners?
No.
Okay, so obviously Taporia's brother is going to be in his corner, right? Guess who Colby's teammate is?
There's no way. It's
Volkanovski.
Oh, okay, it's Volk.
Yup.
Okay.
So they're going to be cornering against each other. That's interesting. Maybe we'll get some, Actually, I don't see them trying to like take away from their, homies and brothers fight at all and like making it about them at all. But
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll see something interesting. But yeah, dude, I'm very excited to see Taporia's brother. I
Bro,
don't know.
his name's Colby Thickness.
Yeah, dude, his name is Colby Thickness. I don't know anything about him except that he trains with Volk, so like I assume he's
Doesn't
good.
have a picture. I feel like I'm gonna take Taporia, even though I don't know nothing about Colby Thickness. I just feel like, maybe that's they're both debuting. I feel like maybe that's let's let this dude shine type
So
thing.
I have heard that Taporia's also this is a replacement. Thickness wasn't supposed to be the opponent.
All right, so even therefore, then yeah, okay.
But Taporia, I heard his brother Alexander. I heard that his record is like kind of padded. But granted, this is just me like scrolling through Instagram and seeing like is Alexander's record padded. So who knows. But yeah, I'd probably
All right,
imagine
move.
Taporia would win. Let's see what else we got here.
Women's flyweight, I'll watch that, but I don't know nothing about them. A 6-1 versus 10-4. Oh, the 10-4 Bruna Brasil is moving up from strawweight to flyweight for this bout. Yeah, all right, cool. Let's keep it rocking.
I was gonna say we can keep going through multiple fights, and actually, Mike, you and I, let's look through all these fights, and then we're gonna
Max
ask
must
Max.
have something to say about this fight.
We're gonna ask Max for his thoughts because Max is gonna know some stuff that we don't. Dude, you
All
can
right,
keep
Tom
on going,
Mullen,
bro.
don't care. Jack Jenkins, keep going. Jack Jenkins, great, don't care.
All right,
Oh,
here
Jake
we got
Matthews. I
someone.
like Jake Matthews. I learned some ground and pound strategy off of Jake Matthews. He was one of the first. Is this at lightweight? Oh, no, this is welterweight. Okay, so Francisco Prado moving up to welterweight. Jake Matthews was also a lightweight who has been at welterweight for a bit now. Jake Matthews, back when I was fighting, he was fighting, and like I was like copying some of his ground and pound, like elbow usage. He does a lot of hand trapping from top guard.
Yeah.
Basically that's what we can account that to. So that's exciting. Let's keep it moving. Jimmy Crute versus Adolfo.
Dude, how many fights is he?
Bellato.
I thought he would have way more fights than that.
I have no opinion on this fight.
Yep. Yeah, dude, that's kind of exactly where I'm at.
Tafa versus Teixeira.
Wait, is Justin Toffa the good one, or is his brother the good one? One of them is like pretty good. The other one's not very good.
Well, he's 7-4. So the other dude's only 1-0
Dude,
in
that's
MMA.
nuts.
He's making a UFC debut after one pro fight.
Bro, and he's on the main card, which is a pay-per-view.
Dude, he's the swing bout.
Dude, that's nuts. Bro,
Wow. All right, whatever. Move it.
it's so crazy.
And then we got our 2 title fights. All right, we got Zhang Wei Li versus Tatiana Suarez. This is a big fight for us because I have Tatiana Suarez finishing the year as the champ. Mm-hmm. And if that's going to happen, it's going to happen to this Saturday night.
And I think if she does beat, Zhang Wei Li, I don't see anyone else beating her. So if she wins this fight, I feel pretty good about your chances.
I feel like if she wins this fight, they're going to run it back. So I think
see that.
to end the year as champ, she's going to have to double up on her.
Didn't think about that. Okay, interesting, but
Which
that's better for me.
my pick.
Because I believe I picked Wei Li.
Right, so you have like basically 2 shots at it.
Let's go. All
All
right.
right, and then the main event, we got Sean Strickland versus DDP in this fight.
Let's go DDP.
He won the first encounter with it. Yeah, I don't know.
Did you see Strickland was like, hey, let's have a gentleman's agreement. No shooting. And DDP was like,
nah, dog.
He was like, there's, what did he say? He said there's like no agreements between men and lions or something like that. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of funny. Yeah. Dude, I've grown to like DDP, like as like, like being funny and everything, his fighting style. And like, I like that he's wild and everything. I wouldn't, tell anyone necessarily to like mimic his style unless you're also just an absolute winning machine gorilla the way he is. I'm very much, I like DDP and I very much don't like Sean Strickland. So let's go Drakus.
Let's go. All right.
Let's give our picks.
No. Before we give our picks, Max,
okay.
I know
Yeah.
you got some input. Pop that mic on, son, and tell us a little bit about some.
So a couple things here. I'm gonna start back down at where was it? This one that we went past, Wang Kong and Bruno Brazil. Obviously it's relevant because it's a women's flyweight bout, and
right.
that's relevant for our gym, right? But this is also like kind of a cool fight. This, in my opinion, this should be on the main card. Wang Kong is 6-1 in MMA, but she has a very decorated Muay Thai and kickboxing background. She has a win in kickboxing over Valentina Shevchenko.
I know who she
so
is now.
cool.
She's
Okay,
had-
I still don't know who she is.
I believe this is her third fight in the UFC. Her first one, I think she got hit maybe once and then knocked the girl out cold in like 45 seconds. Like very uncommon to see at women's flyweight. And her last fight, she was doing well, kind of got suckered into a brawl and then got caught with a head kick and choked out. So got caught there, but this is a really cool fight, not just for her sake, but Bruna Brazil is the kind of leading the charge for women's fighting nerds. She
Okay.
wasn't initially with the fighting nerds, but she moved there. She started training with them. I think it was just her last fight. She fought Molly Meatball McCann and just put a whooping on her.
Yeah.
Just beat her up real bad. So for me, that's like a really interesting like women's fight.
Nice.
Well, I'll tell you what, that should absolutely be ahead of that 1-0 heavyweight, dude.
Yeah.
That's
So
nuts.
bonus info, we're going to stop using the UFC website because that 1-0 heavyweight is actually 7-0.
Dude, the UFC
Wow.
website is
Their
so
website
trash.
is terrible.
dude.
It's so bad.
Unreal.
One more thing I wanted to mention was this guy.
Jack Jenkins, yeah.
I'm a big fan of his.
Okay.
He is he's an exciting prospect. I think he's Australian, not New Zealand. A lot of these guys that come out of that area, they all kind of get grouped in together.
Right.
He's actually Australian, and he's got like
He looks very Australian, dude.
yeah, he sounds very Australian.
I'm sure.
But he's got, I think, like 3 or 4 of his regional pro fights. He stops the fight essentially, like they're like TKO ground and
Leg
pound type
kicks?
thing. He stopped them with calf kicks.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right. That's
sick.
him.
So this is like my guy, right?
Didn't
I
he
think
break their leg like 4 fights in
he
a row?
has 3 broken fibulas
Fibulas.
on his record.
Sick.
Anyway, there's a clip going around that's like viral of him, I think mid-fight at one of them, he kicks the guy's leg and then points at him and goes, "I just broke your leg, by the way."
Oh, yeah. I just saw this dude's highlight video.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
He's
very
pretty
exciting. Okay. What do you know about Gabriel Santos?
Gabriel Santos is another one. I really like him. He's a fun dude. Let me pull up his record here because he's got a like a surprisingly. I don't know why it's messing with me right
Dude,
now.
Is the undercard a better card than the main card?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, it actually is.
Well, the main card's got 2 title fights on it, so.
I know, but like, I don't know.
Well, the undercard
Yeah.
has. What do you mean? It can't be better. The undercard has 2 fights that we care about on it. The main card, well, I guess maybe 3 if you care about. I don't know. The 2 title fights, like, you could have 4 good fights on the undercard. 2 title fights are going to trump 4.
I mean, for sure, but I don't know. Just if someone was like, "Hey, I'm just watching just to see like wild fights," I might be like, "Yeah, dude, just watch the undercard."
His Gabriel Santos, yeah, he's another one who's like pretty solid prospect. He's got only 2 losses on his record, and they were back to back. He stepped in on short notice against Lerone Murphy
Oh, okay.
in
Yeah,
his
that kid's
debut,
good.
lost the decision to him, and then he fought David Onama in his next fight, who he was doing well against, but he did get caught and finished there. But then he won the fight right after that, and this is his second removed from those 2 losses. So he's another like solid prospect at featherweight.
Interesting.
So
He's
that's one of those
favorite right
fights
there.
like what we were talking about earlier, where it's like there's a bunch of fights on the card that are, it's like there's a cool prospect here, a cool prospect there, but there's not a whole lot of like really interesting fights as a fight. This is one of those fights where there's kind of 2 prospects that I'm interested in. Who are going
I'm
at
interested
it.
in this as a fight. Like, I think this is gonna be a fun one.
Yeah. Hey,
Should we
you
get
do,
picks?
You do you. Max, you got anything else to tell us about any main card fights? Because you were talking about that dude being
Yeah,
Dallison
that's
Teixeira.
just straight up wrong. I don't know why it says that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean the Jake Matthews and Prado fight. Honestly, I feel like that should be the featured bout. I like that fight a lot. Both guys are gonna. That's like a contender, I think, for fight of the night right there. Both guys are gonna come in pretty. I think they're gonna rock it.
I think all three of these fights, the UFC is just like these guys are just gonna throw down.
Their
Yeah.
main card too, because Australia, New Zealand.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's right. Oh, dude, actually, that's probably why they couldn't get a lot of stars on this card. No one wants to fight in Australia.
No, foreigners don't want to fight in Australia.
Yeah, what is it?
Australians do because they don't get taxed the same.
Right, and they're already there, so like. of
Yeah,
course you wanna fight
famously,
there.
like Dan Ige posted like how much money he
it was
made.
what,
when
45%, something like that.
Yeah,
Man, Australia, if you guys want to have more UFC cards, tax them a little bit differently. Should we give picks and then discuss where we're at in our picks on the year so far?
yeah. Let's run him.
All right, let's start at the top. I got Drakus.
I got Sean Strickland.
I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Drickus.
Nice. All right, you're taking Suarez. I see?
Suarez.
I'm taking Weili.
Suarez.
Nice. Let's go, Max. Tafa versus Teixeira.
Do we want to skip these?
I'll go Teixeira.
I will too, for
Wild
sure.
card pick, huh?
Well, he's undefeated. Tafa's what,
true.
7-4?
That's true. Yeah, he's 7-4.
Wait, which one is? What's his brother's name?
Junior Tafa.
Oh, Junior's the one who.
Justin's the better one.
Okay, yeah.
Junior,
Oh.
I can't believe Junior's still in the UFC. He was the one that started he got heel hooked and then he got up and started like slapping the dude after the
Dude.
fight, like Paul Daly style. I was
Like-
like, how are you still here?
Bro, it just being such a baby about it, like it was so unlikable. And then something else happened in his last fight too that I was like, I don't like this dude.
Ooh, I
But,
might have to look into that.
I'm going to Shara.
I'm gonna stick with Tafa.
Do we want to give one for this
yeah,
one?
I'm going Hodolfo.
I'll go underdog. I'll take Jimmy Crute.
I'm hoping that's reliable plus money because I'm gonna take Crute as well, but I hope that's not lying to me. No, he's plus money. That's actually.
Well, I don't know why you'd care anyways. You're too young to.
You're right.
And then I'm going Jake Matthews.
Yeah, I got to go with our boy Jake Matthews.
Yeah, I'm going Jake Matthews.
All right, cool. That's the whole main card. Prelims. Man.
Dude, I got to go with the low kicker, bro. I'm taking Jack Jenkins.
Who did you say Santos's losses were to?
Lerone Murphy.
David Onama and Lerone Murphy.
And Namo cracks. So
Yeah.
those aren't bad losses.
Give me
But dude, who can fight on one leg, you know?
Santos.
Ooh, I like it. All right, do we want to give any more picks?
I don't care about that fight. Go
Oh,
down.
actually,
Women's flyweight
yeah,
fight.
Yeah, let's do that one, and I think
Yeah.
that's all we really need.
All right, you guys go.
This is a hard
I'm
one.
taking Cody Steele.
I think everyone's taking Cody Steele. I'm gonna take, dude. You know what? I'm gonna take the fighting nerds girl. What's her name?
Bruna Brazil.
Bruna Brazil. Yeah, I'm gonna go with her. I normally don't go against
I'm
strikers.
going Wang
but-
Kong.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm taking Brazil.
Okay.
I think honestly, obviously not for me, but for anyone with a, above age and a phone, I think the plus money on this card is actually kind of surprising.
It goes one thing we should know is don't trust these odds.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at the odds on ESPN's website, and Bruna's a plus 375.
Okay,
That's pretty crazy.
even more long. Yeah,
Dude.
I'm still going with Wang Chong. All right, cool.
Fighting nerds, bro. They're good camp.
Yeah, man.
I think that's all the picks we need to make.
Oh, for sure. With that said, Max, do you have the picks up and easily accessible? Because I think this will be the first time since our last picks that we're gonna hear what's going on.
I mean, there's only been 2 cards this year.
I know, but we did make picks for this one.
Yeah.
So what are we at?
I'm 8-10. You're 10-8. Max is 10-8.
Ooh, awesome! And if I would have gone with MVP, I could have been even higher up. I can't believe I did that to myself.
Dang. You did go with MVP. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I didn't.
Why? Then you're getting credit for it.
Oh, I shouldn't. I picked Shara. Yeah, Max, that's wrong. I had Shara.
So then Will's 9-9.
Yeah. So Max is winning. Okay, we got to gang up on Max now. No, and dude, actually, no. Mike had MVP because I remember I was shocked that I was the only one who took Shara. Yeah.
Oh, so that's why.
Yeah.
And so I'm 9-9 also. Yeah. Thanks, Will. I
Okay,
did not remember that.
I got you, bro.
So that's why you just messed up.
Huh?
You guys are both 9-9.
Yeah.
So now we
Yeah, so
definitely need to gang up on you.
And then switch my Shara pick to MVP green.
Yeah. Also, Max, we're gonna have to switch this and put it in a sheet so that those get updated automatically. This is amateur.
It's hard to update them automatically, though.
No, if you put it into a Google sheet.
I'm not good at sheets.
Okay. All right.
Mike's a master of it.
All right, scroll down. I want to see how our 311 went. Oh, and there was that one fight night. Okay. All right. Cool.
Interesting.
All right. Yeah. So Max is leading the charge by only one fight. Now our picks for this fight went crazy because we are wildly different
That is true.
on this fight. You know what I mean?
Oh, that is true.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm gonna cut ahead of everybody.
Dude, you might. I mean, there's a big, like.
And also, what's interesting about all these ones? I don't feel particularly confident in any of those picks.
No.
Like none of them. I'm like, yeah, dude, 100% that guy.
You went DDP, right, Max?
I chose DDP. I kind of prefer Strickland's, but I think I'm betting on DDP. I'm not betting. I'm going with DDP.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah. Okay. So there goes a diversion there. All right. So what do you say? Is that it? Does that wrap us up?
That's all we got.
Max, you got anything you want to say?
No.
Awesome. Very cool. Short, sweet, and to the point. All right. That's this week's episode of Listen to Your Coaches, and we'll catch you next time.